Hello and welcome back to another video. Today going to be discussing the upcoming Forza Motorsport game and whether it could have some sort of route creator, something similar to Forza Horizon's Event Lab. In my opinion, Event Lab is one of the best things about Forza Horizon 5, allowing endless possibilities of things that can be created, which is good, especially when we've exhausted the in-game tracks. Rather than driving those over and over again, it's great to have some new stuff made. The creativity it allows is incredible, and means there are some truly epic worlds created by some very talented players. This, of course, was due to the addition of props. In Horizon 4, there was a basic route creator a bit like this, but it had no option to place objects, only checkpoints. Super 7 then came along in an update to that game, introducing props to Horizon 4, but these events were only playable in solo mode rather than as a full-on race with your friends and stuff online, which was rather limiting and quite irritating. Then in Horizon 5, Event Lab was added as a whole new feature, combining essentially the race route creator where you could place all the checkpoints and the props from Super 7, plus a whole load more props added to that, and some kind of more complicated tools that we have become familiar with by now. This has actually been continuously updated throughout the lifespan of Horizon 5 so far with new props, meaning we now have literally hundreds of objects at our disposal, and it is a super great tool, at least when it works. It has its flaws, like a lot of things in Forza, but overall it is excellent, and it is still, I think, one of the best things about that game. In Forza Horizon 5, there are actually a lot of racetrack replicas and custom-built racetracks built in Event Lab, which kind of got me thinking, is it possible that this could be a feature in the upcoming Motorsport game? Whilst not the same, and probably more complex to implement, I don't really see why it couldn't be. The main problem is, of course, that Motorsport doesn't have an open world with start points for us to build from, so there'd have to be a separate space for us to build. But imagine if there was like a blank canvas, an empty world that we could start from scratch. Maybe just an empty field of a certain size that we could build within. Or other similar empty worlds for us to work from. Maybe an industrial style backdrop. Something a bit like the airfield kind of playground games area that we had in previous Forza Motorsport games. Maybe that could be somewhere we could build from. Or maybe we would just build from an existing track. Maybe we could delete part of it and build outwards. That's a lot more complex. So I think maybe a sort of empty world as a blank canvas for us to work from could be absolutely fantastic. So that would be where we build from, which of course would need to be implemented in a Motorsport title with no open world. But what about the props themselves? Obviously, I would hope to see all the props that are currently in Horizon 5 to be carried over, but given the world we'll be building in will be blank if that's how it was implemented, I think we'd need more road and track sections than we currently have. Recently in Forza Horizon 5, we did get some snappable racetrack sections from that update that included the oval, or I think the update afterwards. And I've spoken about this in relation to that game before, but I would love to see more of that sort of thing to allow us to build smooth surfaces to race on, which, if we had a completely empty world, would be more important than it is even in that game. At the moment, in Horizon 5, we only really have straights and banked corners, which only really work in specific combinations if you want to keep the snappable functionality of them at least. And then we have Hot Wheels track pieces, which have a few more combinations, but are bright orange and have the grip levels you would expect from some smooth pieces of plastic. I would love to see more different radius tarmac corners in both a racetrack and road style, maybe, to allow us to build routes in very different looks within this Motorsport game, although all of these things I'd love to see implemented into Horizon 5 before we even get to the release of Motorsport, but that's a different topic. As well as more pieces like this that snap together to make it actually work in a Motorsport game, I would of course like to see more racing-themed props. Maybe some prefabricated pit garages grandstands that look more at home on a racetrack rather than the ones we have in Horizon, footbridges, like I'm imagining the Dunlop footbridge, and even maybe like a commentary tower or something. Something like that would be super, super cool. Some proper curbing for the track itself, maybe some Armco barriers that hopefully also snap together, and more different tyre bundles and walling would also be great to see in a more track-oriented event lab. So yes, it could work, but I think it would take a few changing, would need quite a few new props, and of course that blank world for us to build in. So yes, as one of my favourite things about Horizon 5, I would love to see something similar to Event Lab in the upcoming Motorsport game. It could work, but would require some kind of blank map as a canvas to work from, I think, and this in turn would mean we need more track sections to form the basis of any builds, because we're working from nothing. So whilst it could work, it would also take a bit of work to implement it, which to be honest I don't think will actually happen, as there is no mention of anything like this yet, and it's not that many months before the release of this game. I think it's actually pretty unlikely, unfortunately, but I still think it would have been an incredible feature to add to this game, so I still kind of wanted to give my thoughts about how I would implement something like that. This then is more of a video of how I would implement such a feature into a track-focused game, rather than something open world like Horizon. As ever then, do let me know what you think of this as an idea, however unlikely it is, or how you would implement something like this into a game such as Forza Motorsport. But for now, that is going to be all, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.